Hey guys, this is Dawson Smith with Blue Star Ranch here in South Central Missouri. I wanted to hop on here today and talk about overhead costs and what our plan is to keep them low at Blue Star Ranch and to minimize them as much as possible in today's world where people are pushing for more and more stuff, and they say it takes more and more things to run cows. Here at on our ranch, what we're wanting to do is we are wanting to keep overheads to a minimum. And I would like to talk to you guys just a little bit about that. So the first thing is here, um, if you watched our last video on our South Pole cows that we've got here, most of them are majority South Poles. There are some in here that are not. And there are some in here that are, maybe 50% or, 75%. We have been extremely impressed with them, with their temperaments, with their ability to turn Kentucky 31 fescue into, the nutrients they need. Look at this cow here. Look at that big gut that she's got. There are some ones that don't look this good, that are down in the other field there, but they are doing exactly what we need them to do. We have, they got out the other day, and so we have pushed them right back in. I had a dummy wire. You can see our poly wire in the back. I had a dummy wire that they figured out it was a dummy wire twice. And so we've got a charger, and we've taken care of that problem. But we are planning on using this herd of cows as our main herd, our base herd. We plan on keeping as many heifers as we can afford to. We will have a farm payment due at some point. We have not even finalized the paperwork yet, so we're going to keep you up to date with that. But as far as a farm payment goes, right now that is our only overhead cost that we will have. We sold our house, or we are going to finish selling our house to pay for these cows outright. And so we will not have a cattle payment. We will just have a farm payment. And so one thing that I wanted to talk about real quick though is, overhead costs are crazy. And people are telling you that in order to farm, you need big tractors, you need hay equipment, you've got to do your own hay. And so really what I want to look at is, why are people telling you that? Why are people saying you need to do your own hay? And as I'm talking to ranchers and farmers, they say, well, guess what? They're like, well, I want to do my own hay because I know where it comes from, and I want to make sure there's no weed seeds in there. And I'd like to tell you something. Your weed seeds are already there. Weeds are already in the soil. Before my current job, I worked at a seed company, and it was at a native seed company. It was my job to help farmers establish native warm season grasses, cool season grasses, forbs, and legumes into pastures. And your weed seeds are already there. I hate to tell it to you. And so farmers are sitting here saying they need to drive a $50,000 tractor. They need to have a tedder. They need to have a rake. And the question is, why? It does not make any sense to have that, at least starting out. There was a study done saying out west, which out west is completely different from South Central Missouri, I will say that, but out west, you need 800 cows or 800 animal units to pay for your own hay equipment. 800. So even if we cut that in half, that is 400 cows. We can't run 400 cows on 200 acres. There's just no way. And there's definitely no way that we could, starting out with genetics of cows we don't know, we couldn't buy an 800 acre ranch to even start that. There's no way they would give us the money for that. So we are working on keeping our overhead costs low. This is a stockpile that I turned the cows in here, would have been 2 days ago. Look at these manure patties. They were a little loose. I think I was giving them too big of paddocks. They need some dry material in there. rumens to help with that. But I just wanted to show, and look at this. So they've already been through here, grazed. I'm about ready to move them off. We have got, that's close to a foot. And when a cow comes in here and grabs that, what I really want is to get dry material in there mixed with green material. And so that way the green is what they're going for. This can really help slow down their digestion, make sure it's just not running through like water. And that's all these cows are getting. There's some mineral down there, water, stockpiled fescue. And it just cracks me up that our neighbors, this is the 20th of December, our neighbors and all of our, and as I was driving the other day, I had a training in Rolla, Missouri, and I was on my way there, and people were feeding hay, and the darndest thing in the world is, and I cannot wrap my head around it, I cannot, they feed hay, they're cutting hay on their hay fields, and you know, they're trucking it off the hay field, and then they're putting it in a barn, and then when it's time to feed hay, what they do is they put it in the woods. You can actually see right there, there's a hay bale, and you can tell right up there was a spot where the hay was before. It just doesn't make sense to me. Why would you take the nutrients off of your ground? This is, you know, there's incline here, but you could hay this if you wanted. Why would you hay this, then wrap it up? You're using diesel fuel to stab it, move it into a barn. Then you're letting it sit there for a while. And then the first cold freeze, your field looks like a golf course because you've been grazing it so much. You then go back, start your tractor up, stab your hay, and they're taking it to their woods. They're taking it to their woods and feeding it. This is actually our property, so I'm not showing my neighbors, and it wasn't the neighbors close to us, but they're feeding it in the woods. And then you don't have this, where's that manure going? That manure is going into the woods that doesn't grow grass. So our goal is to keep the cows out here on pasture 365 days a year. We do have a backup plan for ice. In Missouri, I'm not too worried of the snow at the moment, but we will have ice. And when ice comes, you just can't graze. You actually can lose a lot of forage. So we do have a plan for that. I would love to make a video on that. If you're new here to the channel, we are running primarily South Pole cows, and on majority cool season fescue. We do have a field up on the hill of Bermuda grass warm season introduced that I'm excited to show you guys the management of that. And you know, if you're talking to your farmers, your neighbors, and they're like, well, guess what? You know, they're telling me, well, we have to feed in the woods because it gets so muddy that we don't want to ruin our fields. And you know, if it's muddy and you've got big cows out here and they're ruining your field, like, I get it, you know, but the problem is society is telling farmers, you need bigger cows, you need bigger birthing, you need bigger birth weights, you need bigger weaning weights. And these cows here, you know, this cow, she does need to put on some weight. She probably weighs 700 pounds. Look at that calf though. Man, that calf looks good. You know, they want we've got cows that weigh 700, 800, 900 pounds. They're not going to ruin your fields. And so even if we do end up having to change our business plan where we are having to put up some hay, you know, we won't buy the tractor to do it. We will probably have it contracted done, but we'll bale graze in the field. And so that way that nutrients is staying right here. I mean, if you look at it, there's manure. Right up here looks like where they were bedding down, and just more manure. But these cows and calves, I mean, look at them. Look at the guts on those things. They are working for us. And that is the biggest thing that I am feeling for an overhead cost or overhead war that we've got going on, is you have to have cows and life, not just cows. If you got sheep, goats, emus, whatever you've got. You have to have animals working for you. And if they're not working for you, they have got to go. You know, as a manager, you know, when I have employees that don't pull their weight, you have to let them go. You can't just keep giving them what they need, and that's what we're doing. We're letting cows. We're working for our cows when the cows should be working for us. And so that's what I'm excited about this breed here, South Poles. You know, they have been putting on weight. Just look at this manure here. We've got spot after spot. I mean, look at all this of us strip grazing. So this part of the field does need moved. We've got some forage in here left. You guys saw over there when I was showing you over a foot of grass that is just amazing. We are going to move them. If you guys stay tuned, please like and subscribe if you stayed this long. I will do a herd update on Tuesday. If you are interested in what we're doing with AIing these cows, I will do a general farm talk on Saturdays is my plan. So Saturdays will be kind of our game plan for how my wife and I are planning on farming or ranching, and then on Tuesdays will be a specific herd update. Look at that little heifer. Man, she just looks good. So we are, stay tuned for that. The majority of it, if I could throw it in here real quick before I hop off, is we are AIing, part of it is to keep our overhead costs low. You know, at this time, I said we bought our cows outright, and some people won't be able to do that, and that's fine. But if you have to buy bulls, we would have had to buy, you know, 4 or 5 bulls. And to buy a good bull around here, it's going to be $5,000, $6,000. So you're at least $25,000 for bulls. And, you know, we just couldn't swing that this year. You know, we don't have any calf crops. We are waiting on some things here. So we are going to AI. It's going to be about $2,000 to AI all of our cows. We are going to buy a cleanup bull. And what I mean by that is a cleanup bull that if any of our cows miss AI, they will be running with a bull, because an open cow, you're initially losing money. And look at this cow right here. She probably weighs, look at her, just compared to a cow that weighs probably 900 pounds, she probably weighs, you know, 7.5. But that's her calf right there, which I have to double check, but 433. And so that is not her calf, but still looks good. And this one might be her calf. I didn't see that name tag around. Oh no, 405 is that white-faced cow. Anyway, so we stay tuned, like and subscribe. Stick around until Tuesday. I will do a herd update and give you more information on AIing. We should be AIing some of them by then. We got them up and worked them today. It just went so well. The low stress handling has been amazing. Look at all this manure. It is a little loose. On Tuesday I'll give you an update on that. Also, if you stuck around through the last video, you saw this. We had 2 cows that were not part of this herd. They have been just doing fantastic. They've settled right in. Look, she's just walking right past me. And the other one is actually right there that was crazy last week. So we've just been, you know, slow and steady wins the race. The cows are looking good. You know, we are enjoying them. They're just doing amazing. The weather is beautiful here in South Central Missouri. As the weather starts to get colder, I will jump on here and we'll just talk about what we're doing when it's hard to graze. And so make sure you stick around with that. And we appreciate it. Thanks.